So what steps can you take starting today towards achieving your company's EHS compliance? Hello, my name is Russell Carr and I'm the president and founder of Berg Compliance Solutions. And today in this video, I'm going to share just that, the 6 keys to managing environmental health and safety risk and compliance. We see it all the time. Small companies really struggle to manage environmental health and safety compliance because they almost always lack the necessary time, expertise, and resources needed to make it happen. And this puts them at risk for huge losses that companies often aren't aware of. These losses include major regulatory fines and penalties from agencies like OSHA, EPA, and TCEQ here in Texas, civil and even criminal liabilities when employees get hurt or major environmental violations occur, and all the direct and indirect costs associated with workplace injuries that end up costing U.S. companies $140 billion every year on average. Unfortunately, the regulators and laws don't give passes to small companies. They're just as accountable and liable as their larger counterparts. One or more of these events can literally destroy a small business. I've actually seen this happen. And then there's the biggest loss of all, when employees get seriously injured or even killed on the job as a result of a company's failure to manage health and safety regulations. Despite the challenges faced by small companies when trying to manage environmental health and safety compliance, the costs for non-compliance are massive, as we've already talked about. So companies need to take action before it's too late. But what can be done? Well, let's take a look at that. Well, for companies with nothing in place, which is the situation with most small companies, so don't feel bad if this applies to you, you must begin by implementing compliance programs at your company. For some companies, this might only involve OSHA health and safety programs, but for others, it could also include environmental and hazardous materials compliance programs to meet EPA or state environmental requirements. Most manufacturers, for example, must deal with both. And for companies to believe that they have programs in place, they must review and verify to determine if those programs are complete, up-to-date, and correct. Many companies make the mistake of believing that they're in compliance only to find out later that they were wrong after OSHA or an environmental agency inspects them, only to issue multiple violations and issue huge fines and penalties. Don't risk it. Verify before it's too late. But unfortunately, this is much easier said than done. Not only do you need to figure out which regulations apply to your business, but then you have to figure out how to understand, implement, and manage them. So for example, have you ever tried to log onto the OSHA website to research their health and safety standards and then try to figure out which ones of those apply to your business? It's a lot like trying to read a legal document if you're not a lawyer. And that's just OSHA. If your company has environmental or hazardous materials requirements, now you have to start digging into the EPA and state environmental regulations to see if any of those apply, and then begin that process all over again. So this can be an incredibly time-consuming, painful, and frustrating process. And there's absolutely no guarantee of success, especially when you realize that between all these regulations, there's a long list of ongoing management requirements that you need to meet, like written programs, employee training, permitting, ongoing audits and inspections, corrective actions, record keeping, annual deadlines, and the list goes on and on. And to make matters worse, these regulations continually change, but it's up to your company to somehow keep up to make sure that you don't fall behind. So it's all enough to make you want to pull your hair out, but still you've got to figure out a way to make it happen. So what are you supposed to do? And this brings us to the point of this video and what you came here to learn. Here are the 6 keys to managing environmental health and safety compliance. These are the key components that you must have in place in order to make it all manageable and work. So here they are. Number 1, you have to have expertise. You have to have experienced and qualified people managing these programs and give them enough time, commitment, and resources to do it. We see many small companies make the mistake of trying to task a staff manager with managing these responsibilities, which is a recipe for disaster because not only do they lack the technical knowledge, but they never have enough time to get it done. Number 2 is audits and inspections. Audits are critical for determining which regulations apply to your business and also determining where you're deficient. But once you do that, both OSHA and environmental laws require that you conduct routine inspections to not only identify problems, but also correct them. And then you have to have custom written programs. Your written programs must be customized to your actual operations. Many companies make the mistake of downloading a generic template, putting their name on the cover, and then sticking it on the shelf, never to be seen again. This, my friends, is not compliance. And then there's employee training. This might be the toughest challenge of them all, because not only do you have to train your employees on all the right topics, but many of those topics need to be trained annually. And if you have lots of employee turnover, then training becomes a never-ending process. Then you have to stay up to date with regulatory changes. OSHA and environmental agencies continually add and change regulations, and it's up to your company to keep up and adjust as needed. And then finally, ongoing program maintenance. This is a catch-all for everything listed above. You need to have systems and qualified people in place to ensure that everything happens on a routine basis. So there you have it. This is what it takes to achieve and maintain compliance, but also how to protect your business, your employees, the local community, and the environment from harm. So if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and you're feeling the pain, well, you're definitely not alone, believe me when I tell you. We routinely get calls from other small companies who are in the same boat as you. And again, I've had a lot of firsthand experience struggling with these same challenges while running my 2 energy service companies. I know how tough it can be, and again, that was one of my main inspirations for starting this company. So what do you do now? Well, I have a good answer for you, and along with that answer comes a great offer for those of you who are committed to taking action and getting on the road towards compliance. All right, the first step to addressing these challenges is to have a summary assessment conducted of your company's current environmental health and safety compliance condition. By doing so, your company will benefit in a number of important ways. Number one, you'll get a much better understanding of which regulations apply to your company. Number two, you'll also get a better understanding of where your company is deficient. And finally, you'll then know what needs to be done in order to address those deficiencies in order to get your company on the way towards compliance. Schedule your free summary compliance risk assessment today. It's free, there's no obligation, and it's 100% confidential. We've been doing these summary assessments for small companies for many years with great results, and would love to do one for yours too. Click on the link below or give us a call and schedule your free assessment today.